All right. So, as I mentioned, there are things about my black and white logo I would want to change. It's good to critique them. Some of those things can be fixed with color. Um, but in an ideal world, you're really happy with just your black shapes before you have to deal with anything else. But color is as simple as making paths. For instance, this path, and changing it from black to a color, right? But I'm going to help you set it up in a way where it's kind of foolproof, so that you can go back and still edit your black logo. Now, what I don't like about this logo is I don't like how close that is. How close that curve is to the curve of my little Mickey Mouse ear things. And I don't really love the overall shape there, but I understand the need for the extra black. So what if I just redraw the shape to be a little bit more organic looking? And I realize I'm losing the symmetry, but yeah, that helps a little bit. And it carries through in there. And we're going to go up. And I have to make sure the layer's unlocked. I'm going to go up and around here. That's not great. I like just that, and that, and that. Let's see. You can also redo with Command-Shift-Z. Yeah, I think that's actually probably better. Right? That's why it's nice to have duplicates of your layers so you can try different things. And then this little shape, I actually kind of like it, but I don't like it so close. So this is why we save as an AI file. But what if I just move it a little bit further? And then I can always try it gone. But no, I feel like it needs something there. And then if I want to make it a little bit thicker, we know these techniques. These are all things we can do with color later on. I can add a stroke. I can make the stroke black. I can make it thicker. I can play with its points. Yeah, that's nice. And then I can go to Object, Path, Outline Stroke, and then I can merge them all together with Pathfinder. It's amazing how much you need to do in Illustrator just to do simple things that feel spontaneous. But that's just the nature of this kind of vector work. And then there might be other things that you need to, that you notice that you need to control and critique, like this leaf. And it's an ongoing process. Logos are not something you do overnight if you can help it, because they get used by companies for so many different reasons. So if you want to, as much as possible, be really confident of your black and white solutions before you move on to color. And so I'm just going to do that with just little alterations. But all the same skills are going to apply. Okay, so I think I like that otherwise. And then I think this one, last thing, again, talk about offsets. I don't mind how it touches there and there, but this one I want to be more free-floating. So I'm going to use my eraser. I'm going to clip it there all the way through and clip it here all the way through. So that I can use the pencil tool and define the edges of this a little bit better, leaving a little bit of an offset of the white. Like that. Right, do we think that's an improvement? Okay, so we'll take it. So, I don't know if I think I like this. You like that?
I like it.
All right, we'll do it.
Gives it some
It's not great to just improvise on logos, but
It makes
sometimes
it makes the stuff looking so like perfect.
we're trying to make it have a little more impact when it's smaller, right? So what's a good logo design? It's versatile, it's clear, and it's basically as simple as it can be, right? Effective at communicating. Okay, so now what do? We save it as both types. We save it as an AI file. I'm going to update mine, and we save it as an EPS. This is important. You will see why. Because now we are going to unlock everything. Right? Actually, I should rephrase that. We're going to unlock everything that's showing, that I have an eyeball turned on for. Then we're going to use the large selection tool, and we're going to draw a box around the whole logo. And you can see all the brightly colored anchor points. Those are from different layers. So we're selecting from every layer that makes our logo, and we're going to hit Command C, edit copy. Then we're going to say File New. And we are going to say Carl, or your name, assignment 6, survivalist, if you want. This is going to be my color logo, which might be very similar to my black logo, but this is the big difference. Some of you don't have a print profile, and that's because you did it as a live trace silhouette, right? You need to now make your new color one a print profile to have all the color options within Illustrator. Illustrator does a lot to try to limit your options to keep the memory clean. So once you've done that, then you go to Edit, Paste in Place. And there's your logo all on one layer, right at the top. The first thing I want you to do is select that whole layer, copy it, make a new copy, right above it, Edit, Paste in Place on a new layer, and lock the one underneath, right? So now I have my black logo. The first way you can play with color is just to select individual shapes with your small selection tool and change their color. Do that by clicking on one, then going up to your swatches, picking a color, right? And if you want more fine-tuned color picking, you can click here on your fill option, and you can get the millions of colors from here. Right? That's kind of a nice green. Once you have a color you like, how do you make that color on other areas without having to find it again? And this is how you use the dropper tool. So I'm going to use the small selection tool, click on another shape, then I use the eyedropper tool and click on the color. And it will copy all those properties over to my new shape. So I'll show you that again. And I can do it on multiples. So select, if you want to do multiples, you can hold down Shift and Command. Let's just try Shift, hold down just Shift, and you can select multiple shapes. And then all at the same time, you can just use the dropper tool, and it will change their properties. So I have that green color, right? Oh, but I might want to do that also to that little shape. And that little shape. Remember, each path will be separate. Hold down Shift with the selection tool to get them both, and then the dropper tool. But look, those shapes are now in front of my leaf and not behind. But never fear. We just find them in our layers. And you can move them behind. So I'll just move those to the bottom. So even though we copied everything over, we still have full control of each individual path. What if instead of all of this stuff, let's see, where's the flower? Or this leaf. What if I want to make this leaf bright orange? I can do that. Why did it not let me? I don't know. So I can go up to swatches and do it, and then I can do fine tune. It's easier to start with swatches and then modify from there. Right? What if I want to make this whole thing a different kind of orange? I can do that. What if I want to make this whole thing, because it's kind of like fire and life, a red? And I want to make these yellow. Hold down Shift with the selection tool. Kind of a golden yellow. And then I want to make this a nice cyan. So I'm just using a ton of colors here. So if you do everything in color, you'll start to lose the overall shape. How do I move these behind? Because remember, it's just like cut paper. I find them, their paths, and then I move them underneath the others. Right. And because I already built in these offsets, you know, the color difference isn't as essential. And then what about my hoops? This is all done on a copy. What if I want those to be like a midnight blue? So this is how you replace color. But often that's not what we're trying to do. Let's see, why are you not letting me? Let's change you to green, and then let's change you to midnight blue, and then let's select. Sometimes you have to trick Illustrator into coloring something for you, but once it colors it once, it will give you all the options. All right. So do you guys understand that? That was just a simple replacement. Black cutout for color cutout. That's one way you can do it. Here's what's nice though. If you can fill it in with a solid color, you can also fill it in with a gradient. So let me go back to this one. And I can, well, why don't I do this? That's my solid color layer. Select it all, copy, lock it, turn it off, make a new layer, edit, paste in place. Not paste in back, edit, paste in place. All right, so now it's all there to experiment with again. Okay, now what if I want a gradient for the green? So let me select those using the small selection tool and Shift. I'll just do the big ones. So we have some specialized coloring tools. The gradient tools, which you can also find in Window, Gradient. If you go to the drop down, we don't just want a black and white gradient. Go to orange yellow, and you can customize any of these colors. You can customize, just like in Photoshop when we did the sky, the type of gradient you have. This one's really complex. Sometimes you'll have default of like a rainbow gradient. And it's just like Photoshop, except that the interface is a little different, of course. So for instance, if I want to angle the linear gradient, I have to actually type in the angle. I want it to be 75 degrees, I have to type that in, and it will give me a 75-degree gradient. If I want it to be something that's not linear, like circles, I can do that. If I want to get rid of certain ones, I can trash them. Right. And generally, I try to use this in Illustrator in a subtle way. So maybe just a linear gradient from one side to the other would be nice. Okay, now let's play with this a little bit. If I have my layers and I have my black layer, let's move that above everything. Didn't move the layer the way I wanted. Let me try that again.